about you having worked with me?
Yes.
Cool.
Good morning. Good morning. It's Elizabeth Eleanor, and we've got Helen Rowlands. This is Wednesday Wisdom. I have woken up so super pumped, and I've had a massive shift overnight. And so, like, I woke up and thought, well, isn't that really cool that I'm talking to Helen on Wednesday Wisdom? And we've got 5 sessions this month. Like, usually it's 4 with my, with my guest speakers, because we're now doing this thing with Wednesday Wisdom where we're doing a deeper dive into, the topic. And it's like we've got 5 sessions, Helen. Very, very special. So, and this is really special because this is a little bit, it's so taboo in society and in, social media that we're not even allowed to put the right words in. We've got to play around with the words so that it doesn't actually. But can I speak the words?
Yes, you can.
I can speak the words. Okay.
So I've never been taken off for speaking the words. So
okay. So we're going to be talking about business and sex, like two topics that you wouldn't think go together, but they actually go really, really well together. And that's what we're going to be doing a deep dive into in various different forms and different ways together today. But Helen, let's start with a little bit about who you are. I know who you are. You as we were getting on, Helen's like, oh, can I say that we work together? And I was like, yeah, for sure. I was going to say, I've actually worked with Helen. I actually worked with Helen not long before I met Tim, right? And yep. Tim and I are going through your course at the moment. So, I will let you give us a little bit of an intro of what you do.
Cool. Okay, so I'm Helen, and I live on the Gold Coast, and I live in a home that I have designed around my best erotic life, around my blueprints. I'm a certified erotic blueprint coach. I'm a woman in her mid-60s, and I'm on fire. I keep expanding into new areas of eroticism, and really understanding that it's so much more than I ever imagined. It's about energy, it's about sensuality, it's about all sorts of aspects. And I bring that into my daily life. I think my clients are surprised when I start talking about daily life and how you're doing life. But one of my mentors says, how you do sex is how you do life. And then I want to extrapolate from that, and how you do life is how you do business.
Yeah.
So you can't actually separate them. They all.
Absolutely.
Yes, you get that because you understand.
Absolutely. And like you can't, like, which is really interesting, isn't it? Because we have been conditioned to, in society, we've been conditioned to separate business and relationships and, compartmentalize everything. And, friends of mine that are psychologists that are not allowed to work with the people that they know, and, they can't work with couples separately, or, because it has to be, what's the word for it? They need to have an open mind and all this sort of stuff. But when you know the depths of someone, like, you can actually understand more of what their psyche is and what's going on in their world, right?
Totally. Yeah. So, yes, some professions are very rule bound, aren't they? And I think one of the things I love about coaching is it's a new profession. It's not a highly regulated profession, which unfortunately means some people can do it really badly. But because I'm a coach and I've got a depth and wealth of life experience that I can bring, I can take people, to all sorts of places. So, Elizabeth, when I worked with you, you already came in with a massive understanding of what it is to be an energetic being, and you understood your own sensuality. So we just went from there, and we just went on a beautiful journey together where you just bloomed and blossomed, and the end result is, you know,
is is Tim, because one of the things that, even though I have a deep understanding and everything, I also have patterns of behavior that have, you know, been conditioned into me from a childhood, you know, like silent instructions that you're not even aware of that are there, right? And one of mine was work hard, keep, you know, like, do for others, serve, all of those things. And I wasn't spending that much time on my own pleasure.
Exactly.
You know, like finding, you know, like the sensuality and the, you know, I would dance and I would do all of these things because my body felt it. But to really go into the depths that you held space for was really, really beautiful. And, you know, now I'm in that process of, you know, just met Tim and poor guy, I start transitioning into perimenopause just after we meet each other. And so we have just started your course again and going through it together. And it's making a huge difference in the way we are supporting each other in our sensuality, in our relationship, in our bodies. You know, it's given us spark and excitement and fun. And you can see that, you know, I had my my mentor, I went on the other day to have a session with her, and she goes, "Well, can't you look a bit different?" She said, you look really radiant today. And I thought, oh, yeah, well, you know, that might be the course, because we've only just started it, you know, I think we're in module 4 or something. But let's talk a little bit about radiance and the attractiveness of radiance, right?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I've worked hard on my radiance, and I can tell you that when I found the blueprints about 7 years ago, I was actually an extremely unattractive person. I was so caught up in negative energy patterns, and my way of setting boundaries was to be bitchy and horrid, very judgmental, and because the energy that I was living in. And so opposite of radiance, energy. And so, you know, every business that I'd tried up until that point had been, you know, unsatisfactory, hadn't satisfied me, and didn't bloom and blossom. So it's become my life study now on how to live in pleasure. I've called my business Pleasure Waves, because we go in and out of pleasure states throughout the day. I don't expect to maintain high radiance, you know, all the time, but I know how to cultivate it now. So I just thought I'd start a little bit talking about masculine and feminine energy, because so many people associate business and the way you do business with masculine energy, with that driven energy, and that's what you were talking about. Our whole
society actually encourages it, right?
Yeah, totally. And so it's, you know, what do you have on your way to work? You grab a coffee and a donut. Very masculine.
Sugar.
Building your masculine energy, maintaining your masculine energy. And masculine energy is that driven energy. It's very focused. The feminine energy is the creative energy, and that's the energy that really, truly is what builds your business. The creative flow. But the feminine energy is easily overcome. If you overfeed the masculine energy, the feminine energy is not maintained. So
it becomes submissive, actually, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah. You know, it can disappear on you altogether, and that can lead to health issues. And we have, you know, women in society who have menstrual pain. We have women menstrual pain to me is a mindset thing, and it's not taking care of, it's not living in your beautiful body.
Yeah, in your womb area, in your creative center, and yeah.
Yeah, and not taking, saying, okay, I'm on my bleed, my business can wait for me till the next day, whatever it is, that I didn't really mean to get quite to that, but this is the opposite of what the female body, the feminine.
Well, when you look at it, I'm looking at if anyone's got any comments, I know we've got a few people on, so if anyone's got any comments or wants to respond in any way, ask any questions, then by all means jump in. Adeline and Jackie are watching, so good morning. The thing is, when you're in masculine energy all the time, then you're disconnected from that creative center, from that womb space. And so I've never quite thought of it like that before, but that is that cramping, that's the pain that we have, is that disconnect, because even though the feminine may pull back and might go into submission and into the darkness, she actually does have a little bit of a fire in her as well. So, yeah. So actually, neglect her for too long, and she's going to want to be seen again, right?
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
And we don't understand in our culture the power of the fierce feminine. You think of the cubs and an animal that comes near those cubs, you see the fierce feminine.
Yes.
Yeah. And you understand that, Elizabeth. You've got your Awaken the Lioness course that you've put together, because the fierce feminine it's a different energy to that masculine drive, but you're not going to mess with a woman in her fierce feminine.
No, that's absolutely right. And so when you're in business, and we can put this into, we're saying business, right? But in work, career, business, in our relationships, whatever it might be, when we're too much in the masculine, that's when the exhaustion comes. That's when the life starts depleting, and you're just running on 4 cylinders, right, instead of 6.
And I'm a testament to that. I worked as a teacher, and in schools there's lots of drive to perform, and I just kept turning up to work whether I felt well or unwell. Exhausted, I would just get out of bed and go to work, because there's enormous pressure to turn up and to be on your feet and doing the things that need to be done. And the end result of that for me was I got chronic fatigue, and I ended up with cancer. And I ended up having to step totally out of my teaching career and rethink my life, because over a 2-year period, I got 3 diagnoses of cancer.
Yeah.
And interestingly, my cancer diagnoses were related to feminine, the feminine. They were breast and endometrial.
The fierce feminine coming out and sharing, like, hey, I need to be heard. I need to be seen. Yeah,
exactly. And I had no voice. I just kept squashing it. I just kept turning up and doing what everyone else was saying I should be doing, and not listening to me, not listening to my own body. So, if we just keep in that drive and keep ignoring the feminine part of ourselves, whether it's in business or in a workplace situation, we can end up in real trouble.
And what are your thoughts, like when you think about it, because this is such a new way, and it is, the seed is sprouted, and the sprout is starting to grow, right? And people are talking more about feminine leadership, and people are talking about, moving away from that aggression of the masculine in business. But we're talking about it, but people are still like, how do you do that? How do you maneuver? And especially in, places like corporate settings where it's still, but the masculine is still like you know, pounding down like, no, you're not going to shift this because this is the way we're going to drive you hard. We're going to push you until exhaustion, you know, to get the results that we want, right?
Yeah. So this, I think, is going to unfold over the 5 sessions that we have. One of the sessions we're going to have is about boundaries and how to create boundaries. But what I wanted to talk about today is just the cultivation of the feminine energy. And so the blueprints gave me a way of understanding what my true nature is and how to really cultivate that. I have 2 primary blueprints, and they're pretty much, you know, both forefront for me. And I think yours are very similar, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So I have sensual, and you can pick me. You can pick both of us as essential because we wear colors, we wear textures, we have rounded body shapes. Yeah, and you can see around me, my environment, you know, is sensual as well. You can see Elizabeth's got her essential oils behind her. There's lots of hints here that Elizabeth is sensual. You've got the plants, you've got a picture.
The moon. Yeah, picture of the moon, yeah.
All of those things. So understanding that I'm essential was really, really helpful. My other blueprint's energetic, but I want to focus on the sensual for now. So the sensual, I did an 18-month expansion into my sensual energy because I felt I had more access to that. And so I created this whole program to really care for my sensual and bring it to the forefront. And while I did that, my radiance just grew and grew and grew. And I knew that I'd made it in that expansion and was ready to move into something else when literally I would be walking down the street. I was living in Melbourne at the time, and people would stop me to say how amazing I looked.
Yeah.
Total strangers. And it wasn't just once, it was happening a lot.
Regularly, yeah. Because when you're in that radiance, right, like radiance, the very nature of it is that shining, that, you know, your auric field is expanded and it's glowing, and yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So some hacks. You want some hacks for how to be?
Oh, absolutely. Let's do some hacks.
Yes. Okay. So the sensual is all about the senses. So smells, tastes, your environment is so important to you. So for me to work effectively in my business, so I'm going to relate this to business, I need my environment to be really, really right. So I actually came into this room, my office that I work from, well before this call so that I could clear clutter, because the sensual mind will get totally distracted if there's something not right.
Yeah.
Especially if you've still got a lot of the sensual shadow. If there's something not right.
This is my plant that I weeded yesterday because it had some leaves.
Right. Yeah. And instead of focusing on Elizabeth, I on that thing over there thinking, oh, I've got to get off this call, got to get out of this conversation because I've got to fix that. Yeah. So my hack, if you are essential and you relate to that, is you get your environment right first. You do all the things that you need to do. My hand, I put it up to my face just before this call and I thought, oh, that's not good. So I went to the bathroom and washed my hand, because otherwise every time I put my hand here, and because I'm essential, I speak with my hands, you know, yeah. I would have been going, ooh, you know, inside me, and my brain would then just not be focused here.
Yeah.
Okay, so have a favorite essential oil with you so that you can use that oil. This is Sensation, my total favorite.
This one's Magnify Your Purpose.
That's right, yes. And Elizabeth, you're a distributor, aren't you? Of
Young Living, yeah.
If anyone wants to know more about oils, she's your person. She's like,
I use them for my vibration as well. So yeah, absolutely.
I teach my clients how to do pelvic floors in a pleasurable way. Do you remember doing that with me?
Yeah, vaguely. We did so many things.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the masculine, you know, do your Kegels and you've got to do 100 squeezes a day and all that sort of stuff. And no sensual alive is going to do that, because that's like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
sounds like hard work.
Yeah.
But you can be, you know, working with your pelvic floor as part of your day. And a toned pelvic floor is a really great indicator of life. So you can come to me and learn how to do pleasurable pelvic floor exercise.
Yeah. And very grounding, right? It's giving you that strength, that core strength as well. So
yeah. And it's bringing you back into contact with intuition energy, because, you know, it's bringing you back the way that I do it. You're connecting to the whole genitalia area, and it reminds you that it's there. And many people use it as their oracle, as their reference point before they send the email. You know, is that, can you feel into the energy of that? Does that feel right?
Yeah. Reconnecting with self. Yeah. On a physical level. Yeah.
So structuring some dance into your day, some movement. Essential. I think your movement, you should balance, match your blueprint. So going to the gym and doing heavy weights and all that sort of stuff, that's that masculine way of doing things, compared to, you know, doing an aerobic workout, which is a Zumba class or a sensual dance, or, you know,
belly dancing. Yeah,
belly dancing. You get your fitness and you do it in a pleasurable way. If you have that in your program, you know, on Saturday afternoons I do my belly dancing class, that will actually impact the way your business goes, compared to, oh, I'm going to the gym and I'm going to pull down, I'm going to do my lats and I'm going to, you know, push that machine.
Yeah. Which I did for a little while, right? I actually did that for a little while, and yeah, you're right. Like, it doesn't work for a sensual. I actually do Pilates now, and I find it way more pleasing, because it's more aligned with conscious body work, you know, like you've got to be conscious of where you are, and, you know, like the movements, and
you move slower, and your breath is coordinated with what you're doing, and and you're getting more attention from the instructor as well. So there's so many factors in that make that so much more suitable for a sensual. Program in massages. Most sensuals really need a lot of contouring touch. They need physical touch. I give it to myself. Yeah. And this, you know.
I regularly move my body.
Yes.
Like, you know, just however it needs to move, right? Like, if my shoulders are feeling a bit tight, or, you know, just even doing that sort of thing, just to, you know, release things and come back and get the oxygen and blood going.
Yeah. And I've heard people criticize others that touch themselves, but just know that they're a sensual blueprint, but that's actually calming their nervous system. And, you know, my nervous system was totally wrangled and awry, and now I know that I can just do this. I can give myself a butterfly hug, and everything settles down.
You know, one of the things I actually saw a pretty well-known business owner not that long ago talk about how, because she's on the spectrum, and she is a neurodivergent, she's got ADHD, blah, blah, blah. And she will go and lay in bed and put the covers over and just have a moment in the darkness in her bed for a while to cocoon.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I'm like, now that you're talking, I'm like, that's a sensual thing to do. That's one, Yeah,
and sensuals can really enjoy a weighted blanket. I don't know if she's using that as well, you know, having that real sense of being cocooned. But that's fantastic. She's found a hack that really works for her.
Yeah.
To close down the senses for a period of time, because you can be overwhelmed by information as essential.
Yeah.
Here's some of the downfalls of being essential. Do you want to know some of the downfalls?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, if you're not feeding yourself with touch, with baths, with massage, with those oils and things, you will possibly, I'm not going to say definitely, because I don't want to put it out there, go to comfort eating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll walk into the kitchen.
I know I've done that. Yeah.
You walk into the kitchen to prepare your meal. I still do this, and you'll eat half a block of chocolate before you've even prepared the meal.
Yeah.
Because you haven't been taking care of this beautiful, precious nervous system that takes in all of this sensual information. The other thing that you might do is, while you're sitting at your computer, you might actually order clothing. You know, Facebook brings in those little ads down the side, and you think, oh, that looks
gorgeous. That's an interesting one.
They follow your patterns of shopping, and, you know, so sensuals generally have the biggest wardrobes. I'm married to a he has one cabinet, and he says he's got too much clothing, and I have got a whole walk-in wardrobe all to myself, plus a cabinet, plus overflow. Because I have every colour scheme. I've got my pinks, and I've got my blues, and I've got my greens, and I've got all the textures, and I've got all the seasons, because that's my sensual expression is clothing. And I still, to this day, get tempted to buy clothing to reward myself.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, yeah.
So sensuals can tend to, if they're not caring for themselves fully in their sensuality, they can tend to addictive tendencies.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? And again, when you think, like, when you say that, that's the feminine coming in to be seen again.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not feeding me, so let's do it this way.
Right.
And
yeah.
I need to be seen, you know, like it's almost like a, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, or in actually running your business, you might overbuy things for your business. You know, you might buy 2 or 3 different types of microphone to test out the different ones, you know, to see which one you like the best, or, you know, that one looks better than the one that I'll have, so I'll go and buy that one too.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Does that make sense? You know?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
So Helen, we'll wrap it up for today, but I'm so excited about all of the, like, this is such a different angle, right, of looking at, you know, being a woman of light and really expressing yourself in your authentic nature, right? To be present, to be grounded, to be whole, and to be unique in your own, you know, blueprint, all of those things, to really bring that balance in. Because when you're in your radiance, when you're in your, you know, blueprint, which we'll go into and talk about more, that then creates this harmony with what you're doing in your business, right?
Totally, exactly. And it means that your business is feeding you, you're feeding your business. It becomes this beautiful, you know,
breathe in, breathe out. Yeah.
Yeah. That business is not separated from the pleasure in your life. Yeah.
Absolutely. So just as a side note, for those that are new to what Helen's doing, Helen will put all of her details in the chat, and if you're watching from if you're not watching on Women of Light Facebook group and you're seeing us on a different channel, we'll have all of those details underneath as well. However, if you want to already go, I want to know more, not only get in contact with Helen, but in the guides section of Women of Light, we did a whole 5-day, was it a 5-day? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, but you'll definitely find it in the guide section, where we explored in a PG sort of version the blueprints on how to really, you know, nurture and feed the blueprints. So jump into the guide section in Women of Light and have a look, and, you know, go through that process as we go through this month with Helen, because you'll get that deeper, level. And then, you know, I know that, you know, when I'm working with clients and I can see, I actually just yesterday, I think it was, I mentioned you to one of my clients about getting in contact, because, you know, seeing things that were depleted in her personal life, in her relationship, and not being fed, was affecting things that were going on in her business, right? And so it's way more important than we emphasize in society, and it's time for us to be bringing these things together so that we can live in our highest version of ourselves and change. You know, women are here to change the world, right? And how can we do it if we're not feeding ourselves?
Yeah, exactly.
So looking forward to next week. And I don't suppose you know what next week's session is?
Oh,
no, I don't know either. It's all good.
Yes, yeah.
I'll I think what I'll do is I'll put it in as a separate post so that we can share what our topics are. But thank you so much, Helen.
Yes, I put next week's as knowing your blueprint, your personal blueprint, and how to use that to create business success. Awesome.
Take care, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this session. Put some comments in, let us know what you thought, and we will catch you next week. Thanks, Helen.
You're welcome.